Hello friends, welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 23. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And I'm so glad that you've chosen to watch this little video this morning. Because this is Flosstube, you'll see my cross-stitch projects. And because it's a variety show, you'll see something else. Now I have a lot of cross-stitch projects to show today, as it turns out, but most of them are future. So I don't usually do that, and I realize November is not maybe the time that Flosstubers do a future plans parade, but I am not sure what my video schedule is going to be starting in December. So I thought, let's seize the moment here. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Let's get started. Now, if you've seen my videos before, you know I usually start with Temperature Tree by Stitchin' Mommy, which is an Etsy shop, which here I am talking about it, but I'm not going to show you because I haven't worked on it this week, because I got a little bit caught up in a particular challenge in one of the Facebook groups I'm part of, which is called the Semi-Sane Stitchers, which I have trouble saying for some reason. Anyway, that group has a dodgeball game going on this month, which somehow just was very motivating. And in that group, you stitch 400 stitches to create a dodgeball, and then you throw it at somebody on the other team. And I haven't stitched that many dodgeballs, but it's meant that I've really focused on just 2 pieces because they're easy to count. So I'll start with Talavera, Linens and Threads. This is a mystery stitch along, and my goal is to finish this by the end of January. The last part of it, which is this down here, this blank spot, will be released December 1st. Right, this is the November square, and that is the one I'm working on now, and I still have border stuff to do. But here is where I am. And I think, let's pull it all the way back. Yeah, sorry about all this funny lighting. It's morning. Anyway, sorry. I think that this was not stitched the last time I videoed, that one right there. And this one I've started, so that's October that I finished and November that I have started. And I'm so pleased. I also want to point out that there's a lot of interesting design features going on here. Starting with this block up here, every other block in each column is orthogonal, and then the other blocks are diagonal and they're offset. So the top 2 blocks are one orthogonal, one diagonal, and then one diagonal, one orthogonal, and so forth. I think that's really very nice design feature. And this last block that I'm working on now is a more diagonal oriented block, which you could expect. So anyway, that is fun. I've been really enjoying that. I love the colors, and as it's coming down to the end, I'll be sorry really to see it finish. This is Ornament. I've shown this several times, and I got going on this big block right down here. There's a lot of stitches there. And you see I've made a lot of progress. I'm more than 3/4 done with that block, and I really like it. This, like many of these, whoa, the light, sorry. I don't even have anything really to put behind it. I didn't think about that, but you can see the whole thing kind of. Many of these blocks in here, as I've been stitching them, I haven't really been wowed by them. But then when I step back, I realize, oh, that is really nice. I like that. So that is all I've worked on. And I've worked on both of those a lot. I've probably stitched, let's see, 3,200 plus maybe another 600-700. I've probably stitched 4,000 stitches this week. So that was kind of odd. My phone just randomly turned off. So there's going to, you will see some editing, evidence of editing right before this. And I can't remember exactly what I was saying, but so if I repeat myself, pardon me. I don't really like to edit because it takes time and I don't want to take the time for it. So you'll have to put up with some roughness here. As I was saying, those are the only two things I worked on. A lot of stitches in those though. And I still have Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather. I have not worked on that at all in maybe more than 2 weeks. So I'm not showing it to you. I'm also working on Flea Market Flowers by Lori Holt. Again, I haven't worked on that in quite a while. I think I'll get that out. I might get that out in December because if I do any stitching in December, that's pretty easy because it's block stitching. But we'll see. I just don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of stitching come middle of December because of holiday things. Okay, back to it. Now, as I said, a lot of future plans. As of sometime in January, I will have finished Temperature Tree and I will have finished Talavera. Now, one future plan is to consider doing the next mystery stitch along that will be made available by Fox and Rabbit Designs, which is the same people who did the Talavera. So as that becomes available, I will look it over and consider what I want to do. I think there'll be information about it in early December, and the question will be whether I won't start. I probably will do something similar to what I did this time, which is I knew about the project, but I did not start it purposefully until mid-March probably, in order to see what other people were, how other people were interpreting the pattern. Because I don't feel like I need to be the leader on that. I can be a follower. So as of January, I will have Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather and Flea Market Flowers going. I think that's it. Because at this exact moment, I don't have a Blackbird Designs project going. So what am I going to work on? Well, I am going to start this. This is called Snippet Tiger Stare by Charting Creations. All of the information, by the way, is in the description box. And I think this is just amazing. I have a fabric, an 18 count Aida, and I have the floss for that. So I'm pretty ready to go on that. Also, Artecy cross stitch, which is a full coverage cross stitch design company on the internet, had a sale, but they have sales all the time, so I really don't understand why this one grabbed me, but it did. I had several things sitting in my wish list there, and then somebody posted on Facebook a finish of this Snowflake Angel silhouette. They did it on white Lugana or linen with a red thread, which was spectacular. So I will probably do it on a white something, Aida, maybe, with red. The thing that attracted me to it was, besides I think it's lovely design, I like the fact that it's all one color, that I could just do this and it's wonderful as just one color. So it will be one of the kinds of projects that I'll make progress on over the course of the year in response to different challenges. Now, I mistakenly said Artecy is a full coverage company. They do other things. This is not full coverage, although you could, but that would be really insane. So that is something I'm going to work on sometime next year. And then the other thing I bought from them, I have really, there's a lot on Instagram, and some other floss tubers are working on art by Leonid Afremov. And I really like the bright colors. And many of the ones that others are working on are autumn trees at night with a wet pavement. So there's reflections and lampposts and people walking. Usually almost always their backs are to the viewer. So it's a sort of an evocative scene. And this is also by him. Again, it's bright colors. It's not at night, it's not lampposts, but I like it. And it's a full coverage piece. And I'm going to start that. I don't have the threads for this, but I might have fabric. I'm not starting that right away. That'll probably be March or April before I start that one. Now here's another one I'm going to work on starting next year. I don't think I'll finish it next year, called One Nation. And you may have seen this pattern before. This is the names of the states in the order in which they joined the nation, stitched into the stripes of a flag. And this is just 3 colors. It's a red, a white, and a blue, and it's charted for, I think, Classic Color Works, or one of those lightly variegated hand-dyed flosses, which I don't think I'll use. I think I will use DMC. It's big. It's big. So that's why I don't think I'll finish it next year. But it's going to be not that hard. Now, here's a whole group of insanity. This is insane. I've mentioned this before on my channel, on my videos. I'm showing you again. These are by Cross Stitch Obsession, and they are tiny art. They are tiny art reproductions. So you see that? I've shown you this one in particular before. Well, I have a bunch of these. I bought them because they were not expensive and they're kind of amazing. So there it is, sunflowers, Starry Night, woman with parasol, wheat field, and these are impressionistic, as you can see if you know things about art. I think the impressionistic art really lends itself to this kind of, and this is Terrace Cafe Terrace, which is not one I would have chosen. It's not as familiar to me, but so here's why I'm attracted to those. One is because they're art, actual art, and I'm kind of fascinated that the essence of those great works of art can be captured in so few stitches. Those are, each of them, I think the largest one is around 1900 stitches, and most of them are more in the 11 to 1400 stitch range. And they're small, and if you do them on 20 count Aida, which is what I plan to do, they will be very small. I just think that's really interesting. I've always been interested in things that are sort of miniaturized, but yet entirely recognizable. So to take the 1900s, which is the largest one, which might be Starry Night, I did do a few calculations just to see which ones were biggest, but I think Starry Night is the biggest one in terms of stitches. That would take me a week if that was the one I worked on only that whole week. So I could do it in a month if I were also doing my regular flitting about from project to project. So I'm kind of thinking I'll do several of those this year. I have the floss for all of those actually. And I have some 20 count Aida that I can do them on. So that's I kind of almost wouldn't count those as projects. You know, I said before on my channel that I think 6 projects, 6 works in progress at a time is my sweet spot. Right at this moment, I think I have 5, one of which is Temperature Tree, which I only work on 1 day a week, and only to fill in the leaves of that week's temperatures. And this week, I didn't do that. So it's kind of like I have 4 projects going right now. And really flea market flowers you can hardly count because I haven't worked on it in a long time. But 6 is about my sweet spot I found earlier in the year when I had more projects going at a time. So we'll see. Those little ones, they'll get fit in. All right, then finally, I want to show you some Blackbird designs that I'm interested in. This is from the Winds of Autumn book. This is available still, this book. And this one is called Mighty Acorn, and you probably can't read that. The little saying in there says, mighty oaks from little acorns grow. And it's very autumny. Now I have to say that the colors are a little dull to suit me. But Blackbird is known for their color palette. It's part of their design element. So I'm not sure that I would change the colors. And also I would definitely do it in DMC. There is a DMC conversion, and my experience with their DMC conversions, having done one that I used their conversion and one that I didn't because I didn't think it was best. Wow, the light outside is really interesting, isn't it? I have light facing me a little bit, not tons, because you don't need to see me really bright, right? No, you don't. Anyway, I don't know what I'll do about that. And then there's another one in here. Now, I don't do much Halloween specific stitching, but this really I think is cute, and it isn't huge. It's called Spell of the Moon, and I just think that's kind of fun. See, it's finished there as a little pillow or pincushion or something. So that might be fun to do. I have fabric for that, and it's not very many colors. 3, as a matter of fact. So that, I like that. Spell of the Moon. And it's not very big. So those are a couple of Blackbirds that I might do on the Blackbird Designs Weekend Stitch Along. And then there's this. Now these stockings, if you can see down there, those little stockings. In fact, let me show you the back. They are really small. Here is the stocking template. I'll just show you that briefly. You can see compared to my hand. That's how small they are if you do it on the count fabric that they recommend, which I think is 30 count, which is equivalent to 15 count. Very tiny little stockings. And the one that I'm actually interested in is the birthday one. We'll see. I don't know. I do have some linen. That would be nice on linen. It would be kind of fiddly to finish it, I think. I mean, I don't know if I would line it because it's not going to serve as an actual stocking, is it? No, it really isn't. So anyway, that is my future cross-stitch plans. That's a lot. And will I do all of that? No, I won't do it all. I promise you. But that's what I'm thinking about. So another thing I want to show you is another project I'm working on, it's a sewing project, Christmas present. So some of you viewers receive Christmas presents from me. I am not promising anyone that these are for them, or that even other ones of this sort are for them, but maybe they are, but maybe not. So don't get your hopes up. I don't want you to have any expectations. You know who you are, no expectations. We'll see actually how this goes for me. So I'm going to show you this one because it's the most vanilla. So this is a hexagon, and it's hard to show you. Has a backing and a piece of fabric in here, and in here, which of course it's hard to show, is a piece of batting. And it's hand stitched around here. So it's hand hemmed, if you will, or something. And it's a coaster. It's really perfect as a coaster. It's absorbent, it's washable, it's pretty. And I'm making these. And so some of them that I'm making are with a solid piece of fabric, or not necessarily a solid color, but a single piece of fabric for the back and a single piece of fabric for the front. And then you fold it down and stitch it. So you have to cut a hexagon for the back, and you cut a smaller hexagon for the front. You see they're about 2 inches different in size, roughly. And you cut a piece of batting to go in between. And then you layer it, so you have the layers. And then you fold this over twice. You fold it to the, this is really, I do this much more tidily when I'm really doing it. So you fold it once toward the thing, and then you do that so you don't have any raw edges, and hand stitch. Now you can also machine stitch these. I've done that. But I got into the hand stitching because I also have discovered you can use scrap fabric. Not discovered, I planned. I knew that you could use scrap fabric. So you see, this is not a piece of fabric. It's a bunch of pieces of fabric. This is left over from a quilt that I made earlier this year. And the back is also, there was a strip set that I made, and I just cut the hexagons randomly out of the back. That is random orientation. So it isn't perfectly straight necessarily. Here's another one. Here's the back, and here's the front. And what I discovered, here's the back, is that on these that have a lot of seams in them, there's the back, I can't really do it on the sewing machine. It's just too bulky, and the sewing machine will get hung up on something, and it's hard to keep it moving. And so if I was using a decorative stitch or a top stitch, it just didn't look nice. So I decided to hand sew them. And this is why I don't want anyone to get their hopes up, because hand sewing them takes probably 4 times as long as machine sewing them. But I like the results better. But I've enjoyed doing that. What we did is, in our quilting, my friend Cindy and I, we end up with scraps of batting. And some scraps are big enough that you can zigzag stitch them together in order to make bigger batting for an actual project. But some pieces are just, it's not worth doing that. That's called Frankenbatting, as in Frankenstein. Got it, taking a lot of things together. So the pieces that are just not worth trying to stitch together, I've cut these hexagons out of. So I haven't actually bought batting for this project. I've been able to use our scraps. I'm a big fan of using scraps. So that I've been working on. Since it's hand stitching, some of these are, well, the occasions upon which I imagine I'm giving these to people are before Christmas. So I don't have 7 weeks, whatever it is. I have 3.5 or 4 weeks. I've known I was going to do this all year. Why am I waiting until November? I don't know. And one more thing I'll tell you about in this variety show portion of our today's program is last week on Sunday, November 7th, my church, the Chapel Hill Bible Church, celebrated its Jubilee. It celebrated the 50th anniversary of its founding, except it was founded in 1970, so it's 50 plus 1, because we had to postpone the celebration that was planned for 2020, as so many things were postponed, right? But we had it last Sunday. There is a webpage called 50.biblechurch.life, which I've put a link to in the description box, which has all kinds of information, including, I believe, the video of the whole service is there, as well as there's a documentary video of the ministry of the Bible Church over time. And there's a book about our history, that there's an e-version of it there on the website, and you can also order a hard copy version. And I was on the committee that was planning for the big event that would have happened last November 1st, 2020. I that didn't happen. And then I retired. So I was still on the committee to work on the event this year. And when that didn't happen, I have to say that it was kind of a relief because it was so hard to navigate the COVID situation. So I wasn't too sorry that the big event was canceled, and it was a fantastic Sunday morning worship service. We had some members of the committee worked out a time capsule and the book, as I mentioned. There was music in the service, worship music from the eras of the church, and it was really a very, very wonderful celebration of our church's 50th/51st year. So if you're interested in that at all, you can go and check that out. Some of my viewers are Bible churchers or former Bible churchers, so perhaps it's of interest to you. And there's a link in the description below, as I said. Now, because of this interruption in the video, I have really no idea about exactly how long this is going. I feel like it's around 25 minutes, so I think it's time to call it a day. I'll have to stitch the two things together, and hopefully that won't be too weird. But you'll know by now because it's already happened 20 minutes ago. So I hope that you enjoy your stitching this week or any other crafts that you're working on. I hope that you are enjoying the autumn weather, and I hope you'll join me again for my next video, which I think will be next week. And that is all for today. Many blessings, friends.